spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner. All right, well, what better way to start the show than with some technical difficulties if you're watching on the live side? I'm going to jump right into it. We're professionals here, Rich. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. I am your always host, Brian McFadden. It is Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. We are live on YouTube. We had a little technical issue with our video intro, so if you're listening on podcast, you're going to be like, what are these guys talking about? It sounded fine to me. But hey, it's football week. We are here. We made it. We made it through the ups and downs of this absolutely insane offseason. This is a special show. We're going to be messing around with the format. We're going to keep it to 30 minutes, but we had the live Q&A on Friday. Today we're going to do a prediction show where we still try to stick to that 30 minutes. I've got my regular guest, Rich Joe Dice, the Pro Football Demon. Dude, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited to get to dive into this and see where it takes us.
As usual, we haven't rehearsed this at all. We are planning to get through each division winner. We're going to talk about playoff seeds. We're going to talk about predictions for the playoffs itself, as well as the Super Bowl. We're going to make awards picks, MVP, offensive rookie, all of that kind of stuff. But we're still going to keep it to this 30-minute back and forth format. So if we screw up,
it'll be a challenge.
It's live. That's how we do here. But thanks, as always, for tuning in. Rich, we're winging it here, but are you ready to get us started? 2022 season prediction show. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm always a little taken aback by seeing my face in the intro, but I'm good. Other than that,
you didn't get to see the face this time. The intro video was weird, or maybe it was just on my end and everybody saw it. Anyway, let's go ahead. 30 minutes of football with Legit Football season prediction show starts now. So I'm not going to give you the choice. I'm going to kick it off to you first, Rich, just because we're going to try to keep the time succinct here. So how we're going to do this is we're going to go back and forth with the different divisions. I'm going to ask you who you think wins that division. You can give a little bit of flavor, and then you kick it back to me. So we're going to start with both of our favorite division, the AFC East. You're a Jets fan. I'm a Dolphins fan. It's a little bit of a layup, but that's a good way to get us started. Rich, who do you have winning the AFC East in 2022 and why?
The New York Jets, obviously. No, the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, always spicy. Yeah.
Buffalo Bills, no question.
Great. And no additional context.
Yeah,
You're like, Bills are going to win. That's true. This might be the easiest division to predict, which is why I started there. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I have the Bills winning as well. So in the interest of time, we'll come back to the Bills. In the teaser, I'm sure we both will be mentioning the Bills in other parts of this show. So back on you. You can go ahead and throw a division to me.
We'll go to the AFC East. Who do you think is going to win the AFC? I'm sorry, NFC East.
I was going to say, this is what happens. Live show. We can't edit this. No rehearsal. The beauty of 30 minutes of football is there's not really a script. So say it again. Which division are you throwing at me?
NFC East.
NFC East. So we're going to the other side. I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning that. A few reasons really quick, and we've mentioned this on previous episodes. First of all, no team has repeated in at least 17, maybe 18 seasons in the NFC East. Literally a different winner every single year. But if you just look at who won last year, the Cowboys, versus who I'm picking this year, the Eagles made so many amazing additions, both in the draft as well as free agent. Howie Roseman has done his thing. He has set up this team to success. Jalen Hurts has everything he could need, a top 5 offensive line, amazing new weapons, especially with the addition of A.J. Brown, and then stacking up the defense. Even adding, Sauce Gardner and getting James Bradbury as a free agent. The secondary is stacked. The front 7 is always stacked in Philadelphia. There's no reason they shouldn't repeat, and the Cowboys went in the opposite direction. How about you for the NFC East?
I have the Eagles. I think of all the playoff teams last season, I think they are the most improved. Cam Jurgens was a fantastic pick. Center out of Nebraska. It just goes to show how well they're drafting now. How well they're building this roster. So I have the Eagles. I don't want to say too much about it, but that's pretty much
Yeah, we're going to get to playoff predictions, the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
but I'm starting to see the Eagles as a spicy Super Bowl pick. So
Yeah,
you'll have to wait and
they'll
see
be
if
there.
we do that on this show. So I like this AFC NFC back and forth. So I'm going to throw the AFC back at you. Let's go AFC South. Who's winning the AFC South in 2022?
Oh, the Colts. I think the Titans are taking a step back. I'm very concerned about their offense. I think defensively they'll be okay, but I don't think they'll have the offense to compete with some of these teams that they're going to be battling against to try to grab a playoff seed. And Matt Ryan is a hell of a quarterback. It's such an upgrade from Carson Wentz. Nice roster, nice defense, well coached. Definitely the Colts.
Well, I hope that we are varying at some point. We usually do, but I also have the Colts. I picked them in 2021 to win the South, and I think they had the talent to do it short of the quarterback position. Right, and Carson Wentz, they were right there. They had a really rough start to the season, but were 9-3 over a 12-game stretch last year, and then crumbled, losing that game where all they had to do was beat the Jaguars in Week 18.
Yeah.
But hey, Wentz is gone. He's in Washington. You've got former MVP, Super Bowl quarterback, and future Hall of Famer most likely Matt Ryan. And you did additional additions like adding Yannick Ngakoue as an edge rusher, Stephon Gilmore in the secondary. You've got Jonathan Taylor, the best running back from 2021. And I really liked their drafts, especially with the weapons that they got him. Alec Pierce, like Jelani Woods as a long-term tight end. So, yeah, Colts, definitely AFC South.
Yeah.
So throw it back, NFC.
We'll stay in the South. We'll go to the NFC side. NFC South, who do you have?
Great. NFC South, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I've actually seen a few people picking the Saints, which I'm a little surprised of. We won't go too much into depth on that. I'm not as high on the Saints, but we'll talk about the Bucs since that's who I'm picking. I mean, come on, it's Tom Brady. Most of their roster has returned. The biggest question mark there really is on the offensive line. They had retirements. They lost some players to free agency. But as long as they have the greatest quarterback of all time, who came back after like a 6-week, if that, retirement, I don't think there's a huge drop-off with Todd Bowles, who was running that defense already and has just been a protege of Bruce Arians. So I like the schedule, how it lines up for the Buccaneers. I like the division that they're in, getting to play the Panthers and the Falcons. Yes, the Saints have had their numbers in the past, but I still have the Bucs to win that division. How about you?
Yeah, I have the Bucs too. We're on the same page. Best pre-snap quarterback in the game. Yeah, they lost some pieces on the offensive line, but he delivers the ball so quickly. I think this is a perfect situation actually with Bruce Arians out of there, because Brady and Leftwich will essentially run that offense, and it'll be more so Brady. But I have the Bucs. Not a great division. We can talk about the Saints and Panthers and everything a little later, but Bucs.
Yeah, I think when we get to the playoff seeding, we're each going to give our 7 playoff seeding in both conferences. I think we can give a little bit more color at that point, but let's get through these division winners. So we will throw it back over. Let's go to the AFC North. Bengals, champion from a year ago. AFC champions, lost in the Super Bowl, but who do you have winning the AFC North in 2022?
I have the Bengals coming back.
Okay.
Upgraded
Nice.
offensive line, weapons galore. And Joe Burrow, the guy got sacked 9 times in the conference game last year and didn't even feel it, didn't even realize it. He just went out there and kept delivering the ball. Beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Almost beat the Rams. This team, I can't see any other team in this division overtaking them.
So I have a team overtaking them. Finally, we differ. It would have been a really boring prediction show if we just all picked the same one. So I really like the Ravens. I think that was a team who was just historically decimated by injuries last season. I think Lamar Jackson, a lot of people are overlooking just how good he can be when this offense is clicking. When the offensive line is playing well, when he's got weapons. I mean, you've got Rashad Bateman, who is a popular breakout candidate in fantasy going into his second season. You have Mark Andrews, who in my mind is probably the top tight end. I think Kelsey at age 33 we're going to see a little decline. So you got the top tight end in the league. J.K. Dobbins coming back. Hopefully he has that same explosiveness to really work that. And then Isaiah Likely, like the star of the unheralded previously star of the preseason. And you have such a good defense. They had one of, at least on paper, one of the best secondaries last year, but they all got injured. They were bringing up practice squad players, and they were still competitive. So I really like the Ravens. I like the Bengals to take a seat back. I feel like they went on such a good run at the end of the last season. Their defense is more middle of the road. Yes, they added to their offensive line, but we don't know how those pieces are going to work. So I've got the Ravens winning the AFC North.
Okay. Well, we will go to the NFC North.
NFC North. I already know we're differing here because we have brought these up numerous times. I have to stick with the Packers. I mean, the one loss they had was Devontae Adams, and that is a gigantic loss. But they actually have a top 5 defense. They still have multiple MVP, Super Bowl winner, and Peyote, Smokey, whatever else he does, quarterback Aaron Rodgers. They still have him. They've got one of, if not the best running back tandems in the NFL with A.J. Dillon, who's on our screen behind the timer there, Aaron Jones. And I really like, you know me, I'm on Romeo Dobbs. So I think they may have found a nice Christian Watson now that he's come back from injury. So I think they've got the weapons. David Bakhtiari looks like he's on track to start week 1. And, Matt LaFleur has been one of the most successful coaches in his first 3 seasons. So I've got to have the Packers here. I know you're differing. Let's hear your North pick.
Well, we have T.R. Hertz, who is got a nice comment here. Let's show that if we can. I am going with the Minnesota Vikings. I think.
Ooh,
I can't do the Viking horn. Whatever that horn is, we can have that. Yeah.
I just think that offense is stacked. And as weird as it is for me to say this, I think we're going to see Kirk Cousins be unlocked this season. It was a bad situation last year with him and the coach, and Kirk Cousins is not a bad quarterback. He hasn't won big games, but I think we will. I think we'll see him take a step forward for an older quarterback. I think we can see him take a step forward. Quarterback is different than he used to be. These guys don't get hit the way they used to. So it wouldn't be weird to see Kirk Cousins all of a sudden raise a few eyebrows and finally take that division.
Well, he's had great statistical seasons with Mike Zimmer as his coach, which was an old school ground and pound, ball control coach. And now you've got Kevin O'Connell coming from that McVay tree. I'm very excited to see what this offense looks like. You've got Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook is healthy. I don't hate your pick. I'm going Packers. You're going Vikings. Let's throw it back over to the AFC for the final division, and that is, I think we can both agree, the toughest division in football, and that's the AFC West.
Yeah, we're differing here too.
Good. Let's start with you. Who do you have winning the AFC West?
I have the Denver Broncos winning the AFC West.
I love it. Yeah. Crazy. Tell me more.
I have the Denver Broncos. I look at the quarterbacks in that division. I love Justin Herbert, but there's just something about Russell Wilson. Bringing Russell Wilson onto this team with that talent. Now you have Nathaniel Hackett there, an offensive-minded coach. Russell Wilson has never had that, and he's still – look what he did with the Seahawks with bad rosters. He made guys that probably wouldn't have been relevant. And I think bringing him to the Broncos with that defense too, I think they're going to – I think it's going to be close, but I think they're going to take that division.
I have said for a couple seasons now that the Broncos were a quarterback away, and they have that quarterback. I do not hate that pick at all. I think it could be any 3 of the 4 teams. I wouldn't even completely rule the Raiders out, but I am going with the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't think many teams who were already good did more to improve their roster than the Chargers. If you look at some of the additions they have, I mean, you already have Joey Bosa, and you added Khalil Mack. You already have Derwin James, and you added J.C. Jackson. It's just stacked across the board. You already had an MVP caliber quarterback in Justin Herbert. You've got one of the top running backs in the NFL in Austin Eckler. You've got Keenan Allen. You've got Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, Jalen Guyton. It's just across the board, and their offensive line really improved from last year. Rashawn Slater was a big part of that. There's not a lot of weaknesses. They added Sebastian Day to shore up that defensive line, and stopping the run was one of their biggest issues last year. They just, to me, are stacked across the board. They were this close to the playoffs last year. I've got the Chargers winning the division and going far. So we'll talk about that.
Oh.
Throw the final division back over to me.
Final division. We're the NFC West. And I think we may be on the same page here. I'm not sure, but tell me who you have.
I got to stick with the Super Bowl champs. It's not a runaway. When we get to the playoff section shortly, we'll talk about who else I think from the NFC West is going to be competing with them to win the division. But you've got a team who just won the Super Bowl and brought back pretty much everyone, including one of the greatest players in the history of the NFL in Aaron Donald. That McVay offense with Stafford running it, Cooper Kupp with his historic season. Oh, and you added Allen Robinson, who I think has the talent to be a top 10 wide receiver, has played with absolutely horrible quarterbacks his whole career, and now he gets to play with Stafford. There's just so much to like about this. Jalen Ramsey looks like he's on track to start week 1. It's just a team that's stacked. Their biggest issue there is depth, right? Because they're such a team that relies on this top-heavy approach. But hey, when you're top-heavy, is that heavy with these superstars?
Right.
Yeah, it's hard for me not to pick the Rams. What about you?
I'm picking the Rams. They haven't taken a step back. And it's tough to go against McVay. McVay's got a quarterback that he can make any throw he wants, essentially. Even with the running game, Cam Akers was hurt, but that running game you can plug basically anybody into it and it'll be effective. So I'm picking the Rams to win the West again.
Great. So we will do a recap of the seeds now, or not a recap. We'll go into all the seeds. We'll start with the top because we've already mentioned the division winners. So I think that's the easiest thing to do. So I will throw it to you first. Let's start with the AFC. Why don't you give us, and we're about a minute and a half, so we may stop at halftime and continue. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. Starting with the AFC, let's go 1 through 7. Who are your playoff teams?
Okay, I have the Bills, Broncos, Chargers, Bengals, Raiders, Colts, Ravens.
So I did not hear the Kansas City Chiefs in there.
You did not hear the Kansas City Chiefs in there?
Which I knew. We've got your spicy take in there. That's because you thought the Chiefs would not mean.
And I gave this a lot of thought right now.
Let's hear that. Let's dive a little bit deeper as we each give our seeds. Give us a little bit of thought on your AFC seeding and why.
Well, the reason it basically came down to the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Ravens for me, that last part. And I think the Raiders, I like Derek Carr, and I think they are going to be better coached this year. They made some improvements on both sides of the ball. To me, Patrick Mahomes is a guy who kind of throws the ball all over the place sometimes. He doesn't have Tyreek Hill anymore. That's going to be a bigger deal than people think. So, I mean, I want to give you a little time here. So I don't.
We can keep going after halftime. No, let's keep it going.
And when I looked at the Chiefs and the Ravens, I think like you were saying with Lamar's a better quarterback than people give him credit for. My issue with the Ravens, I do have them making the playoffs. My issue is, we talked about it before, 2 minutes in with a game on the line, if you have a close game, is Lamar the guy that you want leading you downfield? I don't think so.
I think our producer is out to lunch because our timer is continuing to go.
Still going.
Anthony, come back to us. We didn't have the sound. Ding. There you go. There's our halftime sound. Once again, live TV. Gotta love it. So we will do our really quick halftime. We may end up going a little bit over 30 minutes because there's just a lot to cover here, and this is a big show. But hey, guys, as always, check out Legit Football. LegitFootball.com, 100% free. If you're watching or listening for the first time and you've never signed up, or if you're a long-time listener or watcher and haven't signed up, why not? So we give you the top NFL news. We're going to be doing it all year long. If you followed us in the preseason, we're going to have some really cool content coming out during the season. There may be some fantasy content in there, waiver wire recommendations, all of these different kind of things. But the only way to do it is to sign up at legitfootball.com, hit join, enter your email address. It will always be free, 5 days a week, every morning, direct to your inbox. Where can people find the Pro Football Demon?
You can find the Pro Football Demon on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. I'm going to be tweeting live during NFL games, so check me out there. And give me a follow if you like football and you like fun stuff. I mix it all together. So
yeah, there's going to be lots of cool things coming up at the _ legit football Twitter, which I run. I will also be live tweeting games. I'm sure Rich and I will tweet at each other just because that's the nature. We have a couple,
especially during Jets-Dolphins games.
Yes, Jets-Dolphins. That it might just be overload for the two of us. Got some other cool things in the works, so make sure to follow both of us on Twitter. Quick halftime. Our team is energized. You ready to go back out in the second half?
Let's go. Let's get this going.
Awesome. So I want to keep hearing more on your thoughts on the AFC, and then we'll switch over to my picks.
Okay. Well, the AFC, I think the Bills are going to be the 1 seed. In the West, the Broncos, Chargers, Raiders. Again, I think that division, they all have the ability to have winning records, but I think the Chiefs are going to be the odd man out. Colts are the only team from the South. Bengals, Ravens. I don't think the Browns, without Deshaun Watson playing, I think they're going to struggle. The Steelers will probably have about 8 wins. I don't see them getting there. But how far are we going here? Am I telling you who?
However far you want.
Okay. All right.
If I think you're going too long, I will crack the whip and cut down.
The 3 teams I really have my eyes on are the Bills, the Broncos, and the Bengals. The Chargers made some weird coaching decisions last year when it came to clock management and things along those lines. I don't know that that's going to get corrected. And the Bengals, you give Joe Burrow an upgraded offensive line. You said we don't know what it's going to look like, but it probably isn't going to look worse than it did. And he's the closest thing to Tom Brady, in my opinion, in the league right now. So he's going to make that team go further than we might think that they could. He's going to do some things that are going to blow our minds. I don't think that's going to go away. So those are the three teams that I see going a little further. We'll talk about our Super Bowl prediction soon, but
all right, I'll jump in with my AFC teams. So I'm going to start with the Bills at the 1 seed, Chargers at 2, Colts at 3, Ravens at 4, Chiefs at 5, Bengals at 6, and I had a different team here, but I'm going to go with my gut and pick the Dolphins as the 7th seed.
Oh.
I had the Broncos. I was debating heavily between the Broncos and the Dolphins.
Ahead of the Broncos.
I didn't want to, and I could end up regretting this, but I'm wondering about this whole Russell Wilson experience, and if we're giving him a little bit too much credit, and if we didn't give him enough of the credit or the blame with some of the issues in Seattle. So, I mean, he's a huge upgrade over what they had before. Don't get me wrong, and I think they're going to be, but also the schedule. That AFC West is an absolute juggernaut. So simply based on schedule, the Dolphins have an easier schedule than the Broncos. I think that could end up coming into play because they don't have to play the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Raiders twice a year, right? So that was, I think, what cut me, and I'm feeling this McDaniel experience. I'm feeling the Tyreek experience. I think they've done everything to set up to maximize to his skills. So that's why I went ahead. And I'm a Dolphins fan. I had to give the edge to Miami. Hope I don't regret it, and I hope I didn't just jinx them. Bills, no brainer. We won't start there. Chargers, I already gave my thoughts. The reason I put the Colts at 3 over the Ravens at 4 is also primarily schedule. I just think the AFC South, the Colts actually, if you look at Warren Sharp's schedule prediction based on expected wins, the Colts have like the 5th or 6th easiest schedule in the entire NFL. So I just think their schedule lines up. Titans are on the way down. Chiefs and Chargers, I could see them both having the same record, and the Chargers just getting kind of the tiebreaker there. Bengals couldn't keep them out of the playoffs entirely. I just think the Ravens might edge them out, and we already talked about the 7th seed. So let's go ahead and jump over. Who are your NFC seeds 1 through 7?
NFC seeds 1 through 7. Okay, so I have the Rams, Vikings, Eagles, Packers, Bucks, Lions.
You can't have the Packers at 4 because you had the Vikings win the division.
I didn't write down the seeds.
Oh, okay, fine. All right.
So then the other two teams I have are the Lions and the Niners.
Did you just put the Lions in the playoffs?
I did. Put the Lions.
Did our producer Anthony pay you off? We should have. Yeah, I was gonna say some sort of sound effect. You just made Anthony's entire year. So give us a little quick flavor on your NFC playoff teams.
Okay, well,
you got 3 teams from the North.
From 3 teams from the North. That's right. The Eagles. We talked about the Eagles before. I just think that they have an upgraded roster from what they had. Bucks, I think, are clay. The Panthers were one that I've talked about that I thought might edge it out, but I had to give it to the Lions. I just think the Lions, as I've said, were the worst team that I saw.
Do you have the 49ers in there or no?
I have the Niners in there too.
You do have the Niners in there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to piece together who you did not include. So do you have tell us some teams that did not make it in besides you said the Panthers.
Teams that didn't make it in were the Panthers, Saints, Falcons, Cardinals, Cowboys. Everybody else is probably, Commanders, Giants, Seahawks, probably self-explanatory. But I didn't include the Cowboys.
Cowboys, okay.
Yeah. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be able to move the ball nearly as well as they have in the past. I think this Mike McCarthy thing is going to be a disaster in what is going to be his final year. And Dak without Amari Cooper is not, his numbers aren't great.
And without Cedric Wilson, Michael Gallup's injured.
Right.
Their 3/5 of their offensive line is gone. Yeah. Randy Gregory they have so many losses. I think that's been being understated.
Yeah.
Well, your forever troll Takaido Luna had to put his comment up there. Don't talk about America's team like that. Are they still America's team? I guess they are.
I don't think so.
All right, let's go into my NFC teams. I did seed these.
Okay.
I understood the assignment. All right.
Sorry.
And this is interesting. This is slightly different than I had earlier in the offseason, but I actually have the Packers as the number 1 seed. I just think, as I mentioned earlier, the more I dug into these teams, I think I was previously weighting the loss of Adams a little bit too much. I think if you get a combination of Dobbs and Watson, if Lazard can be decent, Sammy Watkins, every year he has like 2 or 3 games there, he just blows up. So I just feel like we're kind of overstating that loss. Yes, it's a loss, but the rest of this Packers team is really good. I've got the Eagles number 2, mainly because of the addition of that they've had on the roster that we talked about, but also their schedule. They're another team. I think they're the number 2 easiest schedule in the entire NFL. That just really sets up for Philadelphia to have a successful season. Doesn't mean I think they're necessarily the second best team in the NFC. It just means things are going to line up to get them the number 2 seed. I've got the Super Bowl champs Rams at 3, Tampa Bay Bucks at 4, 49ers first wild card team at 5, Minnesota Vikings at 6. I'm with you. I couldn't exclude them. I think the Packers will edge them out, but I think that'll be a fun division to watch. And the 7th seed was the toughest, but I also don't have the Cowboys. I have the Saints, who I have been touting against all offseason. But I think if you looked at some of these other teams that they're competing with, I don't think the Panthers, they're spicier now with Baker, but I don't see them as a playoff team. So it really came between the Saints and Dallas, and I'm with you. I'm not on the Mike McCarthy experience at all. Dallas has had so many losses. A lot of their success on defense last year was turnover driven. They actually were in the bottom 10 in yards allowed, but they led the NFL in turnovers, and that just doesn't tend to translate year to year. So just based on that, regression to the mean, they're not going to have as many turnovers. Their defense will allow more touchdowns as a result, and their offense is significantly worse, at least on paper. Yeah, they have an easy schedule, but I'm kind of feeling the Saints experience at least to be good enough to get into that number 7 seed.
Yeah, and another note on the Cowboys, Dak Prescott is not an elite quarterback. As much as Cowboys fans want to believe he is, he's not an elite quarterback. So that's another thing. I think in big games he folds a lot. So
well, I think he can be, but especially when the pieces are around him, and I don't think the pieces are around him.
Yeah,
maybe the offensive line might be the biggest issue. They lost Tyron Smith until at least December, right? They lost Connor Williams, who's now the center in Miami. They lost Lyle Collins, who's now in Cincinnati. You mentioned their improved offensive line. That might hurt more than anything else. And then not having that safety blanket in Cooper. All right, so let's finish up with the playoffs and the Super Bowl picks, and then we'll quickly do our award winners. So I'll start with you. We'll do MVP last. So I'm going to start. Let's start on the rookies. People like rookies. Nope. Anthony, take the Super Bowl picks off. Award winners. There you go. Anthony's trying to keep up with us here. We're working on the fly. So let's start with Offensive Rookie of the Year. Who do you got?
Chris Olave.
All right, quick. Don't just give the name. Quick touch.
Okay.
Context.
Chris Olave. I think he works well with Jameis. I don't think Michael Thomas is going to be a thing. I think he's going to be the guy there. He's going to eat a ton of receptions.
Okay, so you think it's volume driven, deep threat. Jameis likes to throw the deep ball. Okay. I got Romeo Doubs. We're talking about the Packers here. Maybe I'm buying into it too much. I'm getting him in many of my fantasy leagues. I just feel like he has the talent, and there is no clear-cut one. So if he can continue that momentum that he had in OTAs and training camp in the preseason, I think it's wide open, regardless of what Rodgers says about Lazard. It's wide open who is going to be that go-to guy. If Doubs can be that guy, he's going to get peppered with targets from Rodgers. And I just think that's a guy who could produce quickly. So we'll go to Defensive Rookie of the Year. I will start on this one. I've got Aiden Hutchinson. Maybe it is the Hard Knocks bounce, but he has just looked so good in the clips that they've shown. I really liked him as a prospect. I think he should have gone number 1 overall. I think Detroit got such a steal at number 2. I think he's going to be in a position to be productive as a day 1 starter. And I just think he's got that kind of build, that kind of Bosa build to do that. So who do you have for Defensive Rookie of the Year?
I have Sauce Gardner of the New York Jets, the New York Football Jets.
Oh, I thought about that.
Yeah. He didn't give up a touchdown his entire college career. Just his coverage skills are insane. I saw him against Elijah Moore in one of the practices, and he just looks like a giant next to Elijah Moore. Fast, long, great ball skills. I think he's gonna have and that solid defense too. I think he's gonna have every opportunity to shine.
So here's why I didn't pick Sauce Gardner, because I think he absolutely has all the talent to be a lockdown corner pretty quickly. I just don't think he's going to have the stats, and that's not a knock on him. Lockdown corners shouldn't have stats because either the quarterbacks If they test them, they're dumb, and then they rack up the interceptions. I don't think he'll have, and these are usually stats-based award. I think he'll be a lockdown corner. I don't know that he'll get Defensive Rookie of the Year because he just won't have the interceptions because they won't be throwing his way.
I think they might test him because he's a rookie. So we'll see.
There we go. So I kind of took over the last two, so I'm going to let you call the next one out.
MVP.
Oh, we're going to do MVP now. All right.
Yeah, okay.
Well, to me, the best player on the best team is Josh Allen. And I just think he's been right there. We've now seen it in consecutive seasons. You can't say any of these years were a fluke. Josh Allen is already one of at least top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. He's got the best roster. And as a narrative-driven award, I just think it's going to go to him. What about you?
I have Justin Herbert. And it's not a knock against Josh Allen. It's just I think it's the last 6 games of the season. Justin Herbert is either playing in good weather or in domes. And Josh Allen might have to play in monsoons. So I think Herbert's numbers could pop toward that last stretch and just being so much more inflated than Allen's. So that's why I would lean Herbert there.
He's my number 2. I could see either of those guys. I think just with Josh Allen's experience and the fact that I think their team will be slightly better, that's why I have Allen. All right, let's finish up with the offensive and defensive players of the year. I will give you offensive first.
Offensive player of the year, I have Devontae Adams.
Oh, I like it.
Reuniting with Derek Carr.
You're big on the Raiders. I love it.
I'm big on the Raiders. Reuniting with Derek Carr. We know what Devontae Adams is. I think he's going to have a fantastic season. There's really not much more I can say about that.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I did consider him for this. I'm actually going Justin Jefferson. You mentioned earlier that Vikings offense. I think with Kevin O'Connell, I think he could be this year's Cooper Kupp. And I love Cooper Kupp. Justin Jefferson is more talented than Cooper Kupp. So if he fits that role from that McVay offense that O'Connell's bringing over to Minnesota, I think he's going to get a ton of volume and he's going to produce like crazy. He said he wants to hit 2,000 yards receiving. I believe it. So finishing up Defensive Player of the Year, who you got?
Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons. I was considering him. It was between Parsons and the guy I ended up going with, and that's Myles Garrett. I think Garrett has been right there. He's got the talent. They need a star with all the noise that Cleveland has dealt with, so I think Garrett's going to be extra motivated. I just realized that I meant to do the playoffs and then the awards. I audibled without realizing it. We've got 2 minutes left. Let's do the playoffs. I will let you start it off. I want you to say your AFC and NFC Championship games, and then who wins from each one, and then do me, and then we'll do Super Bowl picks.
Okay, AFC Championship game. I have the Bucks versus the Rams in a repeat.
That's NFC, but okay.
NFC, sorry.
It's all right. We're scrambling. Got a minute and a half.
NFC, Bucks Rams, Bucks winning. AFC, I have the Bills versus the Broncos, and I have the Broncos winning.
Broncos in the Super Bowl. I love it.
Yeah.
So my NFC Championship, I have the number 1 seed Packers versus the Super Bowl champion Rams. I have the Rams winning that game and returning to the Super Bowl, which is very hard to do, but I believe in this team. And then Bills Chargers, top 2 seeds in the AFC. And I've already mentioned my how I believe in the Bills this year. I've got the Bills winning that game. So my Super Bowl is Bills versus Rams. Your Super Bowl is Broncos versus Bucks. I'll let you pick first. We got a minute left. Who do you have winning Super Bowl?
I have Tom Brady going out on a high note, and I thought about this. This isn't just for nostalgia or anything else. We might look at the Bucks during the season and say, "Oh, they're not the same Bucks. Brady's not the same." But all that matters is he needs to get to the playoffs and win 4 games. I think he can do that. And I think in the Super Bowl, knowing that it's going to be his last game, he's just going to pull out all the stops and edge out the Broncos.
I briefly had the Bucks as the number 1 seed, and as I dug it, I just think the edge is gone. I'll quickly make my Super Bowl pick. I've been sticking with the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to continue to stick with the Buffalo Bills. This is their year. I'm a Dolphins fan, but I feel bad for Buffalo. That fan base deserves the Super Bowl. So the Rams go back, but they do not repeat. I've got the Buffalo Bills over the Rams in the Super Bowl, and I feel very good about my pick. Barring something catastrophic, I think that's a pretty straightforward pick.
I can't believe we got all this in. Look at that.
Look at that. We're such professionals.
Even though I didn't understand the assignment, but
that's all right. Good enough. Well enough. We got all our picks in. We got our division winners. We got our playoff seeds. We got all the awards, the AFC NFC Championship and the Super Bowl without any rehearsal, all in 30 minutes. This is a special post-game press conference. Pro Football Demon, Rich, how do you think your team performed today?
I think my team performed fairly well. Like I said, I looked at this. I mean, there are so many things that can happen throughout the season. This is so hard to do. But again, picking the Bucs to win, I'm just giving the edge to Brady. If I can have any quarterback, I don't care if he's 65 years old, any quarterback in that stretch of 4 games at the end of the season, if they're healthy. Remember, the Bucs were banged up last year. And they still almost won that game. So I'm going into overtime without us going into overtime.
That's all right. I knew we would go. This is fine. We add a little bit of flavor here.
Yeah.
I have been burned by betting against Brady in the past. I wouldn't surprise me if I get burned again. But this has got to be Josh Allen's year. A freaking coin toss kept him away from it last year. And what did they do? They only got better. A team that was already, as far as pressure rates, was already good on the pass rush. Oh, they added Von Miller, who had a historic playoff with the Rams last year. It's just, it's so good. So, our season prediction show in the books, but I want to let everybody know, watching and listening, our next episode, which is always live, we're going to start doing this 5 days a week during the season. Still to be determined what I'm going to do on Wednesdays. But on Mondays and Thursdays, we will be going live at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. It'll be Rich and I, the Pro Football Demon, and Brian from Legit Football with a pregame edition of 30 Minutes of Football. So on Mondays and Thursdays, if you're used to tuning in live, or if you listen and you want to tune in live, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Tuesdays will be our fantasy day. We'll have a fantasy guest on each week where we break down waiver wires, we break down buy, sell candidates. Who knows what we'll do. And then Friday, I got Pro Football Demon again, where we will be making game picks. So if you want to know who to pick that week, obviously we'll do a Thursday night pick on Thursday, but Friday we'll go back and forth in 30 minutes somehow and make picks for all the games coming up for that weekend. Rich, are you ready for the freaking season to start?
I can't believe it's this close. It's surreal. Every year when it comes, I'm just like, wow, it's here already. It's crazy. On Fridays, we may also be doing some overtime on my channel too.
Yes, 100%. I plan on doing it. So if there is an audience for it, right after we finish the show, which will be at this time, so 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, on Fridays, as soon as we wrap up our 30 minutes here, we will jump over to the Pro Football Demon YouTube page and do an unscripted, answer your questions. Rich and I might just tease each other for the teams and how our Dolphins and Jets are doing. We've got wagers to follow. We'll be revisiting those maybe every Friday. Make sure to stay tuned, guys. Thank you as always for those who are live and in the chat and watching. Thank you for listening. We are so close, 48 hours away from actual NFL football. This has been 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. We'll see you Thursday. That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.